Hey, what's up? This is 36 Drew coming to you, N30 Clan, representing. What we have here is a matchup on, well, set to standard maps, but it's 36 Drew, aka me, versus a Lieutenant Colonel rank 34, so it's 32 against 34. I am starting in the 7 o'clock position, or almost 8 or 9, depending on how you look at it. He will be starting in the 2 o'clock position. The matchup is British versus Ottoman, and of course I will be going British. Usually used to playing this matchup in the opposite shoes. One of the things I did at the start here is I looked for that second hunt. I'm not initially going to plan to go for a sea boom here, so Carolina has really large hunts. I'm going to plan to bring in that second hunt as soon as possible. In fact, I'm going to send an early villager out there to start working on it. And I happened to stumble across an easy to steal treasure early game. A nice one to steal because 80 food will help the Ottoman player get up, 5 or 6 or no, probably even as many as 10 seconds faster because, well, mathematically, the villager gathers 0.7 food per second, so it would take 10 villagers unupgraded, well, to gather 70 food, it would take them 10 seconds, so an 80 food treasure is nice just to stop the Ottoman player, who of course doesn't need to be queuing villagers during age up time. And of course it will speed up my own. One of the things right at the start there is I had enough wood for 2 houses. Possibly even 3, I can't remember 100%, but I needed to chop 10 more wood or 5 more wood to get the next house going. If you only have to chop that much wood, do it. One thing there is because I had all those early starting houses, first shipment comes in very, very quickly. When you notice your experience bar is fairly full and there's not a lot of action going on in the game, click on your home city and just start clicking like mad on that 3 villager shipment. Sometimes you end up doing it with a 2nd or 3rd shipment, but usually there's a lot more going on in the game at that point in time. And so I'm just working on bringing in my hunts here, same with back here. I'm working on bringing in the hunts. I don't really want to kill any of these animals yet. I want to get them closer before I start dying and losing them to decay, because I'm not planning on going for schooners early game at all. Another thing about this matchup is he's going to be aged up relatively quickly and relatively early. And that's just a phone call. Hold on a sec. Hello? Hi. Not to match you. Not to match. Oh, that's not a computer. Yep. No. No, not yet. I was just about to go. Yeah. I might just go for a run here, though. Well, I don't know. You wanted to go to West Ed, right? Well, we might as well just go right at the start of this afternoon, like as soon as we get together, right? No? Oh, no. I mean, unless you have your heart set on going on your own or with Tara or something like that. I mean, you could do that. I mean, it's up to you. Well, I don't know. Do you have a big shopping excursion planned or small? It's up to you. It honestly doesn't matter one way to me or the other. Well, why don't you go with Tara then? And if she doesn't want to go, then I'll just go with you. Okay, bye. sorry about that, N3ers. That was, of course, the fiance who is planning a shopping trip, and she needed to know A, what to wear, and B, whether or not I wanted to go. Do you really think I have an answer to either one of those questions, what to wear or if I want to go? Well, I know whether or not I want to go. I don't want to go. But, you know, gotta do the right polite thing to do and offer it, so we'll see. Hopefully her friend can go. At any rate, back into the game here. I notice he's got a dock there. One of the things I do is I make sure my Explorer has line of sight there so I can drop my 2 caravel shipment right at his docks. I immediately try to use my broadside attack on them to try and, you know, damage some of those early schooners and hurt his economy a little bit, because he's not going to have a ton of villagers, because it's very unlikely that he's shipped both 3 villagers and schooners. He's in all likelihood gone just schooners. And in that case, I wasn't exactly sure what happened to that tower. My guess was that he sent his two, they're not, well, they're kind of like caravels, but they're like weaker caravels. My guess is that he sent both of those there, and then one of them shot and hurt mine. And I'm just going to try and siege his dock here, and then I say, oh yeah, look, he did do that. Imagine that, we both sent that as a second card. Meanwhile, I've got a stables up, and my goal is to get some hussars out of the deal. And also, he has clearly sent 3 hussar shipment. If he happened to miraculously train exactly 3 and have them out at this time, I would be, given the fact that there's been sea battles and stuff, I would be very surprised. And given the fact, though, that he is showing raiding, I have a market up and I'm immediately researching, what is it called? Blunderbuss or Grey Coat or whatever it is that upgrades your villager HP. And of course, he's just trying to keep me off the resources here, and I'm trying to strategically place some of my houses forward to get some line of sight there. He can house me all he wants, and I don't mind replacing those. It's going to take him a lot of time to house me. You know, so that's just, I mean, that's just the way she goes. And looking around the map here, I'm deciding to go raid. I'm kind of planning to come in about the 12 o'clock position and just go a little bit right towards 1 o'clock and see if I can get some villagers. Meanwhile, I'm just working on that second hunt that's out there, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do about the sea at this point, but I'm having flashbacks of Sporting Lisbon grabbing a native trading post and absolutely murdering me with canoes. So that thought is going to come into my head at some point. And I get no villagers right there in that particular spot. I believe I'm going to get a couple here. I noticed though that he's got a couple units in my base. I don't really know exactly what's going on, so I kind of hit the panic button, and I just ring the town bell, which of course is not efficient, but I mean, sometimes you just need to do it. A really skilled player probably very rarely has to hit the town bell. And of course my 4 hussars plus town center fire is going to do quite well versus his 3 hussar, or well, he had 4 hussars at the time. And that, of course, since he's got more hussars, leads me to know he has a stable somewhere. Meanwhile, I've sent 600 wood to grab a native trading post. Going to try to pinch these hussars right here. Doesn't really happen, but I kind of have more than him at that point, so I'm pretty happy about that. And one of the things in this scenario that I'm not sure about is whether or not, if I make canoes and I send the improved hit points and attack, is whether or not that affects canoes. I know it affects every other thing that comes out of the dock, but I don't know what the procedure is for that and European civilizations. So in one way it's kind of a risk. And here I'm just going to try to continue to go after some canoes, or after some villagers, sorry. Yeah, canoes don't go on land last time I checked. There's some things there, like I just had to check the hotkey for canoes. I don't use them too often. Discovered the hotkey was E. That's one of the things about ships in general, is I wish I knew my hotkeys better. Like, I know B is broadside attack, but even then it doesn't, I don't know, I swear it doesn't respond as well as it should. And I'm just trying to keep on him raiding, pressuring, keeping him off resources, because I know as an Ottoman who sent schooners as his first card, he doesn't have a lot of villagers on land. You'll notice there I accidentally had clicked F for fishing boat. You might be wondering why I would bother to even gather a treasure like that at this point in the game. Simple answer is a scout. I just like having a map scouted, especially when I'm heavy on raiding, looking for villagers to snag. And he is getting some of mine here, however. Managing to do a good job, and when your villagers have 202 HP and 20% hand resistance, it makes them do a good job versus hussars. Due to the pressure I'm under right now, I am sending colonial militia. I kind of like the card. I think it just comes in handy. I noticed that there's some Janissaries heading towards my docks and everything down here. I have hussars down here, but the canoes, of course, will defend all that needs to be defended. And there's me trying to avoid ringing the town bell, trying to see if I can keep some villagers on my eco. At this point, I'm not really too sure what I should be doing in terms of, should I send my hussars back to raid? Can I defend this attack just with my town center fire, which has colonial militia, or what should I be doing? And so I'm thinking about it. Here, I send my hussars in to attack Janissaries, which is something you shouldn't normally do, but I have town center fire and he's sieging. And as long as he's not attacking my hussars, I can continue to do this and get away with it. And there he switches over back to melee mode. Meanwhile, my canoes are engaging his caravel-like ships. They're not exactly a caravel, but something along those lines. And when his Janissaries are down to just 2 or 3 plus town center fire, it's okay for your hussars to engage them, especially when your town center is doing 135 damage. And I'm just trying to keep on him with my canoes. And this is the nice thing about British having a strong economy on land, is that you can afford like a canoe spam and also be spamming like units from the stables or barracks or something. So you've got both bases covered with some decency. And again, I'm just trying to keep on him with my canoes, trying to mainly take out those warships or even any schooner ships, anything at all to keep him bottled up there. Because I know how it feels like to be bottled up, and it's just like, oh, it's not good. You want to take a laxative. Okay, maybe not that kind of bottled up, but you know what I mean. At this point in the matchup, I'm just concentrating on not making any big mistakes, not losing any huge amounts of villagers, not losing a huge battle on the sea. And so on. And I also do set my canoes to gather there. Not sure what the gather rate of a canoe is. I know it's fairly slow compared to like a villager. But still, if they're just sitting around and I'm not using them to harass at that point in time, might as well do it. And of course I notice he's got those 2 ships there. Meanwhile, I'm going to see if I can flank in from around back and do some raiding. And if you notice in the top right corner, I notice he's grabbed a native trading post. Not that I've scouted it, but just that's what that indicates. I wish ESO, or well, whoever you want to call it, Big Huge Games, or whoever did not have that feature. I don't think you should be able to see if an opposing player has trading posts, and vice versa. They shouldn't be able to see yours. One thing I did right there is I split my hussars, just 2 to kill his, or 3 to kill the explorer, and then the rest to go raid, because, you don't need a bazillion hussars going to do that. And there's, ooh, look what I have come across. That's going to hurt him a lot. I'll probably get 3 or 4 out of the deal. There's a 10 plus, there's probably maybe even 1 before I got there. When I go back to them, there's probably going to be another 10 plus. And there's another one. That villager must have just had 1 hit point left or something. Meanwhile, I'm trying to keep managing things on the sea. It's really tempting in sea fights to just run your whole sea fleet in. But just don't do that. Trust me. I've done it like a million times and it's never successful. You just can't do that unless you've got a massively decisive advantage, which doesn't seem to happen very often in 1v1 sea fights. And right now this is the approaching the 14-minute mark of the game. We're both still in Colonial. And so I've got to make some decisions here. Am I going to stay and hang out in Colonial? Or am I going to go for Fortress, get some Dragoons out because he's likely to have Mamelukes and Spahi and Hussars and all those wonderful things? Or, you know, see if Pikes will do the job. It's kind of a tough decision. You notice one thing what I did there is I've selected a villager and I've hovered him over gold mines. If the little pickaxe appears over the gold mine, then that means there's still gold there. If not, that means the gold mine has disappeared. It's been completely mined out. The only one I was expecting to possibly be mined out was the one by his town center, and even that was not completely mined out yet. So he's probably getting his gold off the sea. Or also that gold mine near the town center is pretty low. I'm also just looking at managing where my villagers are at this time. It's a good thing to do when the game is paused. I have a couple that were farther, you know, chopping trees pretty far away, and it's like, they could be chopping closer to my town center and take some safe harbor in it. And he says, phone 1 sec. And, you know, there's definitely not much in the way of pause microing to be done at the minute. I went to my market, got the second wood chopping upgrade. Can't remember what it's called. Here I'm confirming some of my hotkeys, looking at the ships. He says, you ready? I say yes. And I'm just continuing to mass army. At this point I send the warship HP and attack, which adds 25% to those categories. And I'm clicking on a canoe here. Right now I'm looking at how much HP and attack. It's still not a good idea to generally do this in a game just because you're like, I need to sit and wait and watch this happen, but I really just want to know the answer to this damn question because you know, I just could honestly not remember whether or not it boosted or not. And for your information, yes, it did boost their HP and attack by 25%, so that's pretty substantial, especially for H2, especially when he does not have that same card in his deck. It means sea fights, you know, I'm going to be able to hold in there pretty good. And, you know, I notice I've made a few wall segments. I've got kind of the whole bottom half of the map scouted in terms of line of sight, and I'm continuing to manor boom during a lot of this time. And it's kind of one of the ideas here is if I have him busy on the sea and on the land, the pressure is going to hopefully force some mistakes. So on the flip side, if you get yourself too busy, you can make mistakes yourself. But generally, I think if you're the one giving the pressure, it's a better scenario for you. And of course I'm going in here to creep to see if I can get some villagers, and I split my cav, just a couple to go for the ones at the town center. And you know, they kind of get popped in there right away and don't get a whole lot. And at this point in the game I'm still running off only a stables. You know, which is kind of funny. And oh, look at that, that's very, very nice. That's going to hurt him a lot. I think I end up getting 4 or 5 of those villagers before his backup shows up. So, you know, it's real fun to sit there and watch the 10 pluses, but when there's other things going on the map, you kind of have to make sure that, and there comes his massive Janissary army. You kind of have to make sure that you don't embellish at something like that too much, because it's fun and real easy to do. And you'll notice I'm also making caravels. I've yet to send schooners or make a schooner ship. I just don't need it at this point. Next card is 4 villagers, just adding to the boom factor. Not exactly an epic card at 19 minutes, but it'll do the job. And I think about sending land grab there. I don't know why land grab always ends up being such an eventful card in my games, and why I always end up cancelling it, but I decide to cancel it. I cancel it in favor of quick infantry because I've got to the point now where I'm developing an excess of resources. I'm going to put up multiple barracks as 2, and then I add a 3rd one. And I'm like, I want to be able to get longbows out quickly because I haven't seen any sign of Abus, and I just want some longbows against those Janissaries when they show up. My one fear by doing that, though, is that I'm going to have Spahi or Mamelukes show up, and that's just formula for slaughter. And of course, I actually have my the cav I just trained and the other cav coming together. One thing you'll probably notice about this and me in general, when things go well, my cavalry, if I'm making cavalry my build, is always moving. It's very rarely still. It's just you just have to keep it moving. I mean, there's no sense. I mean, cavalry is so versatile in that you can raid and you can use it to attack infantry, and you can use it in cav versus cav wars. I mean, there's no other unit that can do that, but you do have to be a little bit careful with it, and you know, to have it sitting there idle just kind of bugs me. So, and there's the third barracks going up. If you're running about hotkeys right now, here's how it goes. Control 1 is Explorer, Control 2 is Cavalry, Control 3 is on my ships, Control 4 is the... Yeah, I had some going through. Yeah, building it. Control 4 is the stables, Control 5 is the barracks, Control 6 is the town center, and that should... Oh, and Control 7 are my docks. At any rate, I'm continuing to go in. This is one of those situations where I have a mass of villagers everywhere, and I don't really have a lot of control over the situation. And I need to ring the town bell here, just because I can't afford to lose like 20 villagers because something goes wrong. And I also noticed that he's gone H3, and a 5 Mameluke shipment shows up at the town center, which of course could turn the battle here completely. At the town center, I have the max villagers in my town center right now, which is, well, or close to, which is 50, and that has me sweating because I have no economy and not a lot of resources gathered. I call Minutemen to try to repel his Janissaries, and I've got longbows back there, and here the Mamelukes show up with my hussars. The longbows I'm just trying to keep on the Janissaries, as well as the another longbows that pop out, because of course light infantry does very well against heavy infantry. And here I'm just trying to get some of my eco back going, but you know, I've just hurt his eco too much on land and on the sea, and that is pretty much good game. Right here he's asking for a rematch. I say not right now. I usually don't like to do the rematch because I usually lose it. So, if we look at the villager count there, you can see, well, how that went. How some of those raids hurt. This is our military unit population, which was relatively even for most of the game. Shipments received. And I think that might be it. I say good game out, and that's about it. Thanks for watching this VOD. Hope it was entertaining to watch. Hope you learned something. You know, it's a little bit different in that there's not too many that have a lot of sea fights going on and all that sort of thing. At any rate, keep gaming. Keep coming to AOE3clan.com. Take care.